Well, President Trump has certainly had a rough end to the week, to say the least, and not just politically. This was one of those 48-hour stretches that hits from two directions at the same time. The Epstein scandal gets darker by the moment, and the Supreme Court just smacked down a major plank of President Trump's trade and economic agenda. Now, first, the Epstein angle. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew, was arrested in the UK on suspicion of misconduct in public office over allegations that he sent confidential government material to Jeffrey Epstein while serving as trade envoy. He was later released under investigation, but this is still a stunning moment. A once prominent royal questioned by police in a case tied to Epstein. Reuters and the AP both report the arrest and the allegation, and Reuters notes further that Andrew has not been charged at this point, or at least at the time of this production. Now, here's why that lands on President Trump's doorstep in America. Because for many Americans, especially conservatives who were promised accountability, this adds insult to injury, and the perception is simple. If Britain can drag a royal into questioning, why does it still feel like the United States can't seem to touch anybody with any proximity to power? Maybe a better word is not can't, but won't. And this is the frustration. This is that weird smell in the room. And whether the administration likes it or not, that smell is like political sewage. When the UK is willing to investigate a prince, but America still can't seem to find a perp with a passport and a bank account, people start asking whether justice is blind or just selective. Now, I want to be fair and precise. Andrew's UK arrest is reportedly tied to alleged leaks of confidential documents, not a direct criminal charge for the sex trafficking crimes themselves. And both Reuters and AP, along with other outlets, make that distinction. But politically, the Epstein name and the Epstein case is radioactive. Every new development reopens the same wound. Who knew what? Who did what? And why has accountability been absent for so long? We're going on 4 presidential administrations since the Epstein case began. And then comes the second blow, the Supreme Court's 6-3 ruling on tariffs. The court ruled that President Trump's use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or the IEEPA, did not authorize him to impose sweeping tariffs. The key line from the opinion is brutal in its clarity, that the power to regulate importation under the IEEPA does not include the power to impose tariffs. Fox News quoted that line directly, and Reuters confirmed that Chief Justice John Roberts wrote the majority opinion. Now, why did the court come down this way? Because constitutionally, tariffs and taxes are Congress territory. Reuters notes that the majority decision leaned on the separation of powers logic and even invoked the major questions doctrine in part of the opinion, basically saying, if a president wants to exercise giant economic power with massive national consequences, as tariffs would and do have, then Congress is the one that has to authorize that clearly. And the court said that the IEEPA does not rise to that level of authorization. Now, the court didn't say presidents can't use tariffs. It just said that presidents can't just rummage through the emergency toolbox and call every wrench they find the tariff hammer. Now, what does this mean going forward? Well, against Trump, this is a real hit to executive flexibility. Reports note that the ruling knocks out his IEEPA-based tariff regime and creates uncertainty for importers. Not to mention, it could trigger messy fights with other nations over refunds for billions already collected. Have we even thought of that? That if this holds, we could have other countries coming to our doorstep with receipts demanding the money they paid in tariffs back. Who's going to pay that? It also hands critics a talking point that the administration has overreached and now got caught. Now, on the plus side for Trump, this is not the end of tariffs. Even in the dissent, that dissent suggested that President Trump may still be able to impose similar tariffs under other statutes, just not this one. So let's move on to the next legal loophole, right? That's what we're going to do. Trump is already signaling alternative legal paths and even announced a new 10% global tariff, but under a different authority. So while this is a legal defeat, it is not necessarily a permanent policy surrender. Now, from a Christian and conservative perspective, here's what I believe is the deeper issue. Government must be both strong and lawful. We don't defend executive overreach just because our guy is in office. And we don't ignore elite corruption just because the guilty people wear expensive suits or royal titles or have a red dress instead of a blue dress. Scripture doesn't give a pass to kings, princes, presidents for that matter. God says in no uncertain terms, with him there is no partiality. And that standard should humble every government and really everyone on earth. If this week has proved anything, it's this. A movement can win elections and still lose credibility if justice looks selective and power looks improvised. Conservatives don't just want victories in election cycles. We want truth, order, and equal scales that last. And if the right forgets this, we will run the risk of becoming the very people we used to warn others about. A nation can survive a bad headline or two, but nations do not survive a two-tier justice system and constitutional shortcuts. And we're going to go much deeper into both of these stories on upcoming episodes of Culture Crossroads, and you can find Culture Crossroads, new episodes every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central on BEKTV.plus, that is BEKTV.plus, BEKTV.plus. And of course, we will be posting more shorts, clips, and segments right here on the Culture Crossroads YouTube page. Thanks for watching.